Mark Clements with NOLA.com and Thomas-Picayune over at St. Michael with our large school baseball coach of the year, Johnny Bernhard. After coming off a 23-11 year, a trip to the semis. And I guess when you kind of just wrap up the year as a whole, what was kind of the standout thing? I know we were just talking about how maybe a little bit of a surprise to some people considering how much y'all lost last year. This is when you kind of sum up the season as a whole, I'm sure you got to be proud of what you guys accomplished.
Yeah, definitely proud of this group of kids. I mean, coming into the season, I think a lot of people, you look at it on paper as we all do in the preseason, fans and coaches alike. We didn't have a whole lot of experience coming back. And so the challenge was to find ways to replace all that talent that we had lost. Obviously, JT Malden, Austin Edens,
Right.
Lane Fontenot, Dylan McElroy. These were top shelf players. Of course, Edens has gone on and been the conference freshman of the year for Sanford, and Lane Fontenot has become one of the better relief pitchers for a really good Delgado team that made it to the World Series for the Division I JUCO ball. So obviously, coming back into this season, we just looked at ways to not only replace those guys, but also improve in certain areas. We felt our team defense was not what it needed to be last year. As good as we were, again, made it to the state tournament, did some really nice things. A lot of it was due to the fact that we could just hit the ball. We could score runs, we could hit 1 through 9, and certainly put up a lot of runs throughout the year. That was a fun year, but each year is different. You have to learn to adapt to your talent and adapt your style of play to what you have coming back. And so, like I said, on paper, we looked at it coming back and said, well, we do have some kids that can play defense. We do have some pitchers who have thrown strikes in the past. And we've got some players offensively who have a skill set that might be a little bit more sacrifice bunt, might be a little bit more hit and run, might be a little bit more straight steal, those types of things to play that kind of game. And so we were able to do that and made another trip to the state tournament and surprised some people. But I think that the people inside our program who got a chance to see these kids work every day and the leadership that developed within our senior class, none of us were really shocked. I mean, I think we knew that we had a good team. We just had to go out there and play well. And the biggest surprise this team for me was that not that it made the state tournament, but how it played like a veteran team in big games, despite not being a veteran team. So that was a good surprise, and I really enjoyed coaching this group.
You mentioned the talent that y'all had last year, and could hit 1 through 9, like you said. I remember covering some games. Those home runs are really kind of what sparked y'all and got y'all going. How difficult is it as a coaching staff to kind of figure out what the pieces are that you have coming together and completely change from what y'all were last year, putting up double-digit runs, night in, night out, and this year winning games 2-1, 4-2, low-scoring game. It's a whole different mentality. How do you kind of approach that as a coach?
Well, I think one benefit we have at this level is that we get the benefit of summer baseball. So going back a year ago, we lost out to a great St. Thomas More team 4-1 in the state semis. And within a week, we're already playing our first summer league tournament. And, we didn't really stop until early mid-July. And so what that enabled us to do was for that 6 or 7 week period is to kind of test case some of the things that we saw. I mean, like I said, on paper we saw, well, this could be our style, but how does it translate on the field? And so around here, it's we really benefit from our location of being able to play all the big 5A schools, all the top programs in the area in the summertime to see what certain kids can do against varsity level competition. And so we had kind of got a jump start on that, and it was pretty evident early on in the summer that this was going to be our style, and then we're going to have to play fast. We have to play pressure ball, and we're going to have to play great defense and throw strikes. And we were able to do that, and took it on the road. Even went and played in Atlanta and did a couple nice things in tournaments. So we were able to kind of test that theory out in terms of what our style could be in 2015. Back in the summer of 2014. So then that enabled us to get some momentum because we did have a good summer coming into January of this past year, and just picked up where we left off and played to that style. And I remember the first scrimmage against Denham Springs, who's always one of the top around. We were able to force them into some mistakes and do some nice things offensively. And we said, well, maybe this kind of style can work throughout the season, and certainly it did. So it's just a matter of, I think, at this level, seeing what you have coming back, looking at your summer, and then finding from there what your style can be.
I hate to not touch on a guy like Chris Reed, who kind of played a little bit of everything last year and kind of bounced around a little bit this year. Had to move over to third base, and obviously going to LSU at that. How much of a contribution, or I guess a benefit, was it for y'all to have him? And I guess touch on any other guys who I'm sure you're going to say, all 9 guys or however many impressed you, but any guy that kind of really stood out that
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned we were talking earlier about how young we were, but the one of the key returners that we had is Christopher Reed, and it's nice to be able to say that one of your few returners off of your starting lineup is a kid who signed with LSU. Right. So we were fairly inexperienced, but in the spots where we were experienced, Chris being one of them, our catcher Ross Skelfel being the other, and then two of our pitchers who pitched a lot the year before. It was nice to have in that spot of experience having a kid of that caliber. So Chris hit leadoff for us. He played third base and was voted one of the two team captains. Garrett Hamilton was our center fielder. And it was great to see him kind of develop into that leader that we knew he could be. And also, obviously, on the field, had a tremendous season. I know he's racking up the postseason awards. We can't talk too much about it because our convocation is Sunday, but he's doing well so far on that, and as you would expect. And he's a 4-year starter and a kid that most people that follow baseball in this area know a good bit about. And it's been just a tremendous joy to coach him and watch him day to day and improve and get better and grow up off the field as well. And so we think we're sending a really top player and a mature kid to LSU who can handle anything that's coming his way. They've talked about maybe trying him at catcher a little bit. So we'll see how that works out. And whatever they decide, I know he'll excel and he'll give it 100%.
And some of those guys are gone, and we're just talking about the 14 freshmen you have coming in. You got those meetings coming up now. How's the team kind of shaping up next year for the guys you have returning, the pieces that you're trying to fill in, that kind of thing? Just, I know it's really early. You still have summer ball to kind of figure that kind of stuff out, but just early outlook.
Well, looking into 2016, like I said a minute ago, we're looking at this summer first to see how some of these pieces fit, and we do bring back a lot. As I mentioned, we were fairly inexperienced this past year, so we bring back several key members of that team. One thing that baseball coaches talk a lot about is being good up the middle, and we've got a chance to be that with our catcher returning, our middle infielders both returning, and certainly some kids who can play center field. We lose our starting center fielder Garrett Hamilton, but we do bring back some kids who can play that position, who are athletic enough and fast enough to do it. So we feel good about what we have up the middle. Obviously, pitching-wise, we lose Jonathan Lofton and Tyler Ezel, who are our 1 and 2 this past spring. They graduate, but we feel good about Evan Becknell, Scott Terrell, and some of those juniors. We're going to be kids that will be juniors this coming year, coming into the fold. So, we just try to develop, the talent that we have that comes into the program. Obviously, we have had a good tradition here of being able to do that. And, watching our JV team and our freshman team this past season, we're going to be competitive again. So we're looking forward to it.
All right, Coach. For Coach Johnny Bernhard at St. Michael, I'm Mark Clements, NOLA.com, Thomas Picayune.